welcome back to English 7. And congratulations to one and all because we've reached the last module for the second quarter. And it's all about transcoding linear and non-linear text. At the end of the lesson, you'll be able to differentiate linear text from non-linear, transcode linear to nonlinear text, make use of the given steps in transcoding nonlinear text to linear text, and realize the need to know in transcoding information from linear to nonlinear and vice versa. Now, let's try the first activity. Directions: study the picture. Which one catches your attention first? Which of the two can easily understand? Understanding the differences between linear and nonlinear texts is an essential skill as we encounter these texts almost every day. The main difference between the two lies in the way the text is read or processed by an individual. Experts call this pattern of reading a material as a reading path. Linear text refers to traditional text that needs to be read sequentially from beginning to the end. Here, the reader understands the meaning of the text through grammatical and syntactic arrangements of words. Generally, texts printed on paper are considered linear texts. Examples of linear texts are novels, poems, letters, textbooks, newspaper articles, and educational texts. Linear text can also be electronic, such as those materials in other linear forms posted on the internet. On the other hand, nonlinear texts are presented using various kinds of graphics. This kind of text is non-sequential. The reader has the freedom to decide the sequence in reading the text. It does not require him to read from beginning to end. Nonlinear texts include flowcharts, concept maps, tables, diagrams, maps, illustrations, and photos. And such materials are called graphic aids or graphic organizers. Let's try the second activity. Directions: study the diagram. Linear texts are the most common ones. Reading them from start to end is necessary, while non-linear texts are used to simply summarize a text in an easier, faster, and a more understandable way without changing the whole thought or idea of the text using presentations, charts, or organizer. To better understand linear to non-linear, let's study the diagram. If you have noticed that linear text talks about the oldest musical instrument, no, its classification and its characteristics. The nonlinear also shows the same information as the linear. The only difference between the two types of text is in the presentation of the information. How is a linear text transcoded into nonlinear? To transcode means to change the language or information from one form, that's linear, to another form, that's nonlinear. Here are the steps to follow. Step 1: read a passage to get a general idea of the subject matter. Step 2: look at the visual to identify what information is needed to complete the chart. Step 3: locate the relevant information in the passage and transfer it to the chart. Use only keywords or phrases, not whole sentences. And step 4: you may be required to classify information into categories under headings. You may have to come up with your headings. Let's try the third activity. Directions: study the diagram. At this point, you'll do the opposite, which is transcoding nonlinear to linear. Study the graph and take note how the ideas are presented in nonlinear to linear forms. Notice that the two types of text contain the same information but differ in the presentation of the information. How is the nonlinear text transcoded into linear? To transcode nonlinear text to linear, the following steps will help you. First, take some time reading the graphs, charts, and other graphic aids. Next, make sure you understand axes. Axes are the horizontal and vertical lines of a graph or chart. referred to as the x-axis and then the y-axis respectively. Third, be sure to follow lines on graph or chart and pay attention to key ideas, data, or information. Fourth, make sure correct grammar is observed. And last, organize information clearly and write legibly and neatly. Let's try to create 2 to 3 sentences of the main points in the infographic. Directions: transcode this nonlinear text to linear text. You are given 2 minutes to do it, and your timer starts now. Time's up. Now, I'll share my 2 to 3 sentences to this activity. Based on the infographic, social distancing, a term that epidemiologists are using to refer to a conscious effort to reduce close contact. It includes how to avoid, be cautious at, and safe to do that slows down the community transmission of the virus. Hope that you do have great 2 to 3 sentences explanation to this infographic. We have to note that to transcode means to transform something from one form to another. In order to transcode a linear to a nonlinear text or the other way around, one must first be able to fully understand what the source text is about. This way, deciding on the proper text type to be used in the transcoding process will be easier. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Goodbye.